Hi, welcome back. And before we keep building our scene, I want to go through. I want to briefly go through the workflow using SpeedTree. So I have like this a very basic plant, like it's a elephant grass. Yeah, we have like this basic material going on, and this kind of a dry. Um, I don't know if I like that. We can change a bit, like in Redshift later on. But here's the scene, and we're just going to go through this. And I like to convert this to quads and quads both. The leaves, yeah, we can bring everything to quads. And then if I select the blades itself, I can come to here and just say export selected as mesh. Okay, when I do that, I created myself like a folder where I have like a speed tree selection, and this folder is going to keep growing while we do this. So I already have like an elephant grass in here. Let me see. Yeah, apparently not, but yeah, I'll create now. So um, I'll call this long grass, and yeah, long grass, elephant grass low. I'll call this long grass. So because I already have a different elephant grass, so long grass low. Yeah. So yeah, it's an OBJ, and it's yeah, we don't care about the wind for this one. We're going to save just one, and can have material. I think. Oh no, I made a mistake. Because before I exported a Lambic file with some wind on it, so it's the whole sequence. So that's why it's ABC. And what I want now is an OBJ, just a regular OBJ. So everything the same. Long dress OBJ. Yeah. So yeah, that's all good. Just PNG, and I will press OK. So yeah, that's all good. Okay. Yeah. So when now we back here in Redshift, we have just like a grid floor that's going like for 1,000 to 1,000 meters, and if you remember, I have like 20 to 20 by 20 this area. So I just have a long ground floor just to give like a shadow, and just so this block doesn't keep floating there. I just want to give it a solid base for it to stand. So yeah, let me bring down our elephant grass, our long grass. So let me put like a file node, and I'll call this long grass. We won't use this. I will show you why. We're going to use it just briefly. And then inside this file, I'm going to navigate to my folder where I have all these assets. Not this one, nature, plants, speed tree selection, and long grass. Here I have. So I have like the grass here, the OBJ, and I have all these other maps. So let's bring it. Okay. So let me ghost all the objects. You see, it's really big, and the reason why is because like the measurement in speed tree is feet, and we need to transfer to put a transform node and bring down to meters, and the relationship is like 0.3048, and now it's in the right scale. So I will keep this in the center, you know, like I just brought the scene just so we could clearly see where it's standing, and you see like it's just this big flat maps, and we're going to use a sprite node inside Redshift just to cut this out with the texture. So yeah, I'll do this. I like to put a convert node always when I come from the speed tree. Sometimes just if it's everything good, it won't change, but sometimes the geometry is not like perfectly accepted by Houdini, so I like to put a convert node. And next step is to create a material. So let's put this in here, and let me create this material node here. So RS material builder. This is for long grass plates, and then let's connect to the surface. And yeah, I'll have a sprite node. I already know that I will need this RS sprite, and here RS, and yeah. So let me. So it's already connected here. The reason why is when this was the last imported file, so it's just like it's smart enough to understand that we want to texture it, so it's open already with the same folder, you know. So long grass, like this one in here, diffuse, and another one, and this one is for the gloss. And for the gloss, I need to invert, so I put down invert, invert. I will come here to here, and to the roughness, yes. Or we can do like this, we can bring straight the glossness map, and inside here, if we come to, I think it's overall optimizations, advanced, convert glossiness to roughness. So just click here and it's all good. Another texture, and let's bring the normal map, and then I'll put like a band map, input, bump, and I need to select the sprite. So where is the low? Here it is. Okay. Then I have a couple more that I want to use, and for this I'm going to bring them here. So same thing, texture, and this one is going to be the subsurface color, and I use the translucency. Is translucency? Yeah, translucency. Yeah, instead of using the regular subsurface, I think for this thin object, and it's lighter on the system and it's good enough. So I bring this to my translucency color, and I need another one for the weight. So subsurface amount. So subsurface amount. Okay, here in the weight. So yeah, everything is good. After rendering, we can play with the color. So I will do a render just to see it, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to create here an Redshift proxy output, and I'm going to export this as a proxy, and then I will bring back the proxy object, because Redshift works really good with the proxy object, especially when you're scattering over the whole thing, a lot of objects. It reads really fast, and you can put like thousands and maybe millions of instances, and it works really well. So because we're going to do that, and it's going to bake the texture on top of that, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just first I'm going to have a look on this, and let's see where we are going on there. Yeah, I think it's nice. It's looking good. I thought it would be too yellow, like too dry, but I think it's quite okay. Like there is some variance on there, and it's good enough. The normal map is a bit strong, but I think just because we're looking so close, if we go to the back, just give a little bit more texture in here, these lines. So there's a truck down there and making this noise. So yeah, I think we have a good texture. I won't change nothing for now. I think it's all good. So what we're going to do is what I said. We're going to export the Redshift proxy. So to do that, you just come here, and then current frame, archive, and then you select where you want to do it. And it's nice if you have like a library just with your assets. And I have this in my plants and proxy trees, and then I have like all these proxy trees, and I have some proxy rocks. So it's really good because when you're building a scene and if you have like a long list, it's just pick and drag to your scene and it's all good, you know, like it's all texture, it's a really good thing to keep building. And it takes some time to build a lot of assets, nice assets, but then in the end it's really good. And what I did for some of them is like, for example, this low grass. I did this the regular color, then I did like a dark green, and I did like a yellowish tone. And when I assembled these, like I put like all of them spread, and this creates a very nice organic look to the scene because it's even more variation in the colors. So it's not only the variation in the color of the grass itself, but between each patch, because real world is a lot like that. So let me put like this long grass. I call this low because when I don't have the geometry, I have like this flat surface and use like this sprite to cut this out. I put low. It's and when it's the real geometry, then I keep it as like with just regular name .rs and accept. And now we have. I just need to come in here and render to disk. Current frame. There's no animation. And it's done, it's so light this one, so no problem at all. So if I come back to here, and even if I delete this, and I will delete the long grass as well, I have like normally what I do with my assets, I have a Houdini scene with all this and all this, the correct folders with the textures and the geometry, so I can come back and change the shaders. But for this one, I was just wanting to show you how to do it. But I'm going to bring this. I'm going to use this in the scene. So what I do with my proxy, I brought this node here, is the proxy file, and if I press C, I like to give it like its own color and a shape. If I press Z here while I'm with my mouse in here, give me these options of like of shapes for this node. And I like to use all my proxies like this, so I'm going to call this long grass. And next step is just to link this to the right proxy. So also I need to bring my file. So okay, so long grass low. Okay, so it's bringing it as a bounding box, and if we put to mesh, it just brings the mesh to visualize. So if you're sketching a lot, maybe it's good to have like this. Oh, what's happening in here? I think it's yeah. I think I'm in an orthographic view. I was playing around with my camera and just bringing back to perspective. I think yeah, we are better now. Perspective. Yeah. So. Here we have, and if we render it, it's going to be the same, like with the material and everything, but like really light for Redshift to read. So yeah, here we have the whole thing, and nice. Yeah, you see the translucency appearing here, and yeah, I think it's good. We have our first asset in the scene. So let's bring the other assets that we're going to use for this. And so I want to have like this long grass, and what we can do, maybe we can just place, because the scene is so small. I'm going to bring all the other objects now. I'm going to hide this, we don't need to see this now. Maybe the scattered shells, we don't need to see them, they are heavy, and I'm going to get like this our section cut that's together with our water. So yeah, so we have like this. Maybe I'll give a color to this as well, so we don't see this bright white on it, like so. Here I'll put like a color node, and let's put like this, maybe something like that. Not, yeah, like that. So we have like this, And now, if we have a look, yeah, it looks better like that. So the area is so small, and for that we're going to scatter some objects, but for some we're going to just place it manually. So there is plenty of ways of doing this, and I show you basically the two main ways that you would like scatter this on top. Because we generated this as a height field, we can use the height field node, the scatter height field, and it gives us already a few parameters that would make it easier for us to randomize the seed and masking. So the other way is to do the same way we scattered the shells. We could come to this geometry. Let me bring an instance node here. So we bring an instance node, and I will call this instance long grass. And yeah, so I need to just link I click in the tab here, and I put the long grass in here and full point instancing. So now I need to bring in all the assets that we're going to use. Most of them we're going to manually place them into the scene as we want. So here we have like this spawn. When you're using the instancing, you don't need to have the flag on, because the instance node should have like the flag on. So in this case, and also it's important that when you're using the instancing, you should keep your asset in the origin of the world. But now, because I'm going to manually place the palm, I'm just dragging it and placing. And for now, it's just about like how you wanna show your scene. So I will keep doing this, and then I come back to you to discuss more strategies with our scene. Now it's time to scatter a few of these large grass and this grass. So we get into the instance node, and instead of using the add, we're going to bring with an object merge. We can just like come to our terrain, and in the height field we can just like start placing a mask to decide whether to place the vegetation. So let's put like a null node with out height field, and let's bring it to our object merge. So it's before we convert to geometry. So we need to do this into the height field node. So it's just this section of the terrain. So we're going to make like a draw mask, or sorry, a mask by feature. And with this we can just like not consider the slope, but use the height. We need to compute the range of the terrain, so it's coming from -1 to 2. And then with the ramp we can just like take out the gradient and just like bring down the mask to whether we want the vegetation to happen. So yeah, more or less around this area, it's good. And then we can just soften a bit the edge with the ramp. Uh, Nothing too drastically, but we have like that's my preferred way of working. That we can just like play with the ramp and see more or less where's the mask that you want, and then we can keep combining different types of masks. Um, if I use like a noise, instead of making like add, I can just like first let me when I'm just playing um, with the edge, but not like if you subtract, then you can just like yeah, you can dial in the element size and amplitude and give what kind of breakout in the mask that you want. So um, I'm just trying to have like it more organic look, and to play a bit with the size of the patches where we're going to have like some grass happening and some areas that we don't. So now with like a draw mask and subtracting it, you can just like decide some areas that you don't want this to happen. So I wanted to have like this mask, the draw mask, just to take away some areas where I want my character to be paddling on top. So now with this height field scatter node, we can see the points that we're going to use to place our Redshift proxies, the instances. So the outer radius is the distance, the average distance between one geometry to the other one instance to the other. So with a 0.1 means more or less like 10 centimeters between each instance. For something like grass, it works well, but then you can use the coverage to decide how many of those, the probability of happening with this 0.1 radius. So the range means the height, the size, not the height, the size of the instance. So it's ranging from 0.6, more or less half of the instance, to 1.2. And also I want to randomize the up and also the rotation to 360 degrees. If we have a look now, there is some of the instance that is in the very edge, and our plants are just going out of the patch of the terrain. So in a non-procedural way of doing this, we can just come in and blast, but we can also I'm going to show you another way that we can do this, just going back to the mask, and it's also possible like if you go back to the mask and just redraw the mask. So now we can check out our render. I brought in one more species of grass just to make sure that we have all set. And yeah, here we are. We have like a nice scene. That's the basis of our thing. So next we can start bringing more things to the scene, like the paddler, the canoe, and also look at how cool the water going from the deepest to the shallowest part, and with the color variance. And yeah, it's nice, this small piece of land. So let's bring more assets and keep building our scene.